Hello everybody, you're watching Channel 1 and in this video my Citroen C4 Grand Picasso has failed again. When I bought it I was nervous about two failures occurring, one with the automatic clutch and the other with the air suspension, and one of them has reared its ugly head. If you pause the video now, you can pop in the comments which of the failures you think it is. You got a 50-50 chance of getting it right, because in the next few seconds I am going to tell you which failure I have. And for those who are missing my Honda Jazz videos, I do still have access to the car, but my mother, whose car it is housebound at the moment. So with the car going nowhere, it doesn't need any work, but anytime I get some to do, I will upload those videos. I hope you enjoy this one, folks. Right, so today on my way in, one of the two faults with this car I was dreading has turned up. A suspension fault has shown up. I don't know if it gives any information. No. Just shows up there, but I am hoping it is something just to do with the fact it is 28 degrees, which is the hottest we've ever been in here. And if I now open, close the car, lock it, unlock it, oh dear. Well, that's certainly going to need looking into. Well, the first thing I'm going to do after seeing that is plug in my ODB reader, and in the glove box here you can see circled is the ODB2 port, which I plug my cheapo Chinese fault code reader into, and lo, of course, Citroen being Citroen uses Lexia software, which my reader does not read. It just sits there doing nothing, so that has ruled out any help that could give me. Thankfully my car came with the owner's manual, and having a flick through and finding the fuses, I see here that the suspension height adjustment fuse is F10, which is in the under dashboard fuse box. So again, on another page it actually identifies which one that is. So going underneath the dashboard, in the glove box, behind this little cover is where those fuses are located, and I have circled here the fuse in question. I just bell it out with a voltmeter or a resistance meter, which shows it is intact. So that's that simple. Fix out the question. And a little bit of a look further through the book. The main fuse box has got one here for air pump. I don't actually think it's anything related to this. I think that's more part of the heating circuit, but I have a check the fuse anyway. Again, I've identified that here in the drawing, and underneath the bonnet on the right hand side you have the fuse box, which you just need to pop the lid off, and you should be presented with something like this. I hope, I hope it's no different to mine and mine's been fiddled with, or yours indeed. And then looking a bit deeper, I find the fuse, which the book does say should be 30 amps, and this is 40 amps. Quite why, I don't know, but again I measure it and it's intact, so I've ruled that out anyway. So just to try and clear it and see whether it is a hard fault or just a glitch, I go to the battery, remove the little cover off the positive side, disconnect the positive terminal and leave that off for a minute or so, and then reconnect that back up. in a hope that, if it was a simple fault, that might have cleared it. And when I go back inside, it clearly hasn't. And now I'm aware that on the air suspension models, behind the passenger seat, if it's a UK car, the left-hand front seat, I lift up the carpet and there is this panel which is kind of clipped in place. If you don't have air suspension, that would be a storage box. But on the air suspension ones, that is sealed, and you can just prise that off from the bottom of the floor, and you will see inside the ECU. Well, it's not an ECU. Yeah, I suppose electronic control unit for the air suspension. As my boy squirrels away. It's not showing any massive signs of damage or anything rattling loose. So undoing the two 10mm, if you can hear me over my boy playing with his friends, you undo the two 10mm hex bolts, one either side, and even when they're loose, the way the carpet's fitted does tend to hold it in place, particularly in these positions arrowed here. But yes, I undo both of the bolts, or nuts rather, and finally managed to wiggle the ECU free. To disconnect the connectors, you have to get a little screwdriver or something on this little tab on the top of the connector of each of the two connectors, which will enable you to fold back the retaining clip about 90 degrees, and then it will become detached from the ECU, which I take in the house to do a bit of exploring on. And as you can see, there are 4 clips quite visible either side of the connectors here, and they are kind of all around it. You need to unclip each of those, and when you've done that, the box will separate slightly. I try and pull the cover off completely, and this picture doesn't show it very well, but here I've just done a little red line round. It's what looks like a heatsink connection, a piece of bent copper connecting the circuit board to the base metal cover of the ECU. It looks to be spot welded onto the metal, and a sticky pad fitting it to the circuit board, which I don't want to disturb too much because my car does at least drive, so I don't want to get too far in. I was hoping I could pull it apart. I clearly couldn't, so I just clip it all back together and refit it back to the car. I must say though that when it was apart, I had a good sniff inside. I couldn't smell any components that had burnt out, which is a good sign, I suppose. So continuing my initial checks, from the rear of the car as you look under, pretty much in the centre, you will see this black box with these sort of opening vents on the bottom, and it's under here where the actual air compressor for the suspension is located. There are 3 nuts that hold it to the car. I haven't got any jacks. I'm literally just sliding underneath the boot, so I can't get great photos of where the locations are. But here are the 3 nuts that you need to undo. Hopefully you'll be able to see them when you get underneath the car yourself. And with them undone, sure enough, the compressor is located right where it should be, which I have a little check over the connectors, check the airlines are in, can't really see any obvious problems, which is good. The fact that I don't see any moisture buildup or corrosion means it's all been sealed in place, and it's been in fairly good condition, but for some reason it's not coming on. As I say, there is nothing obvious, so for now I just put the cover back on and leave it. So with my preliminary checks done and nothing standing out as an obvious reason for the failure, I'm kind of left a bit stuck at the moment. One thing I did notice was when I'd parked the car half on a curb, half in the road, and I went back to it after leaving it parked, the fault wasn't present until I'd been driving for a couple of minutes, and then it came back. So I'm hoping it may just be something as simple as a height sensor on the suspension that's playing up. I don't know. So I've had to spend a few pounds to be able to find out. That you will see in the next video, because my surprise item hasn't arrived yet. But if the information I've given you up to now has been of any help, do please hit the like button. Please subscribe to the channel, particularly if you've got one of these cars, because every bit of work I do on any car I have access to, because I look after everything myself, I will detail on this channel. And for those who are missing my Honda Jazz videos, yes, I do still have the Honda Jazz that I look after. But my mother, whose car it is pretty much housebound at the moment, so it's not doing very much. But for now, this video is over. As I say, do please subscribe. It makes a massive difference to me when I see I get more subscribers. But whether you do or you don't, I won't hold it against you. Please, everybody, stay safe, take care, peace.